Yeah, what's going on, party people? The place to be. I go by the name of the BK Apologist, transmitting all the way live. New York is the city, Brooklyn is the borough. What's good? What's popping? Today, I have the honor of having someone who you probably have had debates in your head with for the longest when it comes to top five, whether it's LeBron or Jordan. And, you know, he's here in the flesh to talk with us today. You won't be debating him here in this platform, but you can get to see him. So give it up for my man, Chris Broussard. What's going on, bro?
What's up, man? And if the spirit moves you, bring it on.
That's great. That's great. So for those who may not know who we're speaking of here, he's a sports analyst and commentator for Fox Sports 1 and Fox Sports Radio. He's best known for his coverage of the NBA. Previously, he worked for the New York Times, ESPN, the magazine, and ESPN.com, and have made appearances on ESPN Sports Center, NBA Countdown, First Take, and NBA Fast Break as an analyst. You also have a podcast right now, right, Chris?
It's a radio show, national radio show called The Odd Couple. I co-hosted with Rob Parker. It's on Fox Sports Radio, the iHeartRadio app, or SiriusXM Channel 83 every weeknight, 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern.
Nice.
And
nice.
we of course, we podcast it too. So some people listen on podcasts. That might be the confusion, but it's a national radio show.
Nice, nice. In addition to his work as a sports commentator, Broussard is the founder and president of the K.I.N.G movement, a national Christian men's organization that seeks to strengthen men in their Christian faith and lifestyle by providing support, accountability, teaching, fellowship, and brotherhood. K.I.N.G is an acronym that stands for knowledge, inspiration, and nurture through God. It has chapters in various cities and has had celebrities such as Shawn Alexander, Brian Dawkins, Ananias Williams, Greg Jennings, Troy Vincent, Dow Strawberry, Lionel Hollins, Bernard King, Michaeletti Williamson participate in its events. Broussard is also a frequent speaker at churches and schools throughout the nation. And let me say what's up to my party people real quick. We got Nate 2D2 in the house. We got D New. We got my man Land in the building. We got Jones. What's going on, guys? So you also have the distinction of me having the most earliest YouTube live I've ever done thus far. So that's pretty cool. We got Thomas White in the check-in, but just to have you on the platform.
We got a full day. One of my daughters is graduating from college today.
Oh, congrats, bro. Congrats. Congrats.
So we're going to do the virtual graduation and all that. So that's why I had to do it early.
Bro, I appreciate, whatever time you had, that's when we were going to do it. So I definitely appreciate it. Completely off topic, but I am curious because I know you have Louisiana in your blood, right? So now, do you have any Haitian in you?
No, I'm not Haitian. Louisiana Creole, and obviously there's the similarity. Haitians speak Creole, have a Creole culture, and the blacks in Louisiana is very, or a lot of the blacks in Louisiana are very similar. My blood is French. The French Canadians that came down from Canada, and they're called Cajuns. They came all the way from Canada down to Louisiana. They're called Cajuns, the white ones.
Right.
But many of them mixed with Africans, and that's where Creole kind of came from. So it's a mixture of African, French, maybe some Spanish and Indian, but So Broussard is like Smith down in Louisiana. There's a town, there's a restaurant, there's streets named Broussard and all that. So a unique name everywhere else, but in Louisiana it's common.
Your name rings bells. Okay, no doubt. So Natu says you're not a Levite, so we all know what he's talking about there. So I think one of the things
I do want to get into some urban apologetics too.
Okay,
if you willing.
Sure. I throw you some alley oops.
Because y'all the new crop. I got to give y'all the history of it because people do think I've seen, and then obviously I support all y'all. I've been getting us. I played a major role in getting us that seat at the table in the conscious community.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I've heard a lot of urban apologists say this is a different generation. It's new. It's not new. What's new is the internet. There were always people doing it, but you just weren't connected. You didn't know who else was doing it around the country.
Right.
There was no Facebook and all that. So, but I'll share a little of that as we go on.
Oh, no doubt. In fact, that's how me and you linked up, right? Because of the Bantu Jabari debate, and that was so fun just meeting you for the first time there, and it was so cool how after each round we would look for each other and we would do our own like sports analysis of the round. You know what I mean? It was super dope.
Right.
So,
I thought Bantu obviously won, but I thought he let him live too.
He let him off the ropes a bunch of times.
He
let him off the ropes a bunch of times.
Yes,
He should have kept his boot on his neck. That's true.
Yes.
I agree, 100%. But I think one of the things also that I really appreciate about you is that even though, you have a job being a sports analyst, and of course you can't pontificate on the gospel after every halftime report, but when you find a place where you can slide it in, you always take advantage of that opportunity. And you don't have to, because even with that, you are taking a chance when it comes to your career. So I definitely salute you, for doing that. You know what I mean? But what caused you to have such a conviction to openly display your faith on national television and radio?
I think for me, one was when I got saved. I got saved my senior year in college. I went to Overland College in Ohio. And when I got saved, I'm a product of the hip hop generation too. And hip hop is what? Bold, aggressive. And so the influence of hip hop on me made me kind of bold and aggressive. And at that time, I got saved in 1989. At that time, a lot of the most popular hip hop was conscious. So you had KRS-One doing
Brand Nubian, Poor Righteous Teachers,
Brand Nubian, Eric B. Rakim, all that. Public Enemy, of course. So it was a time where African Americans were really speaking out boldly and about history and things like that. And so that was really kind of a part of me. And when I got saved, I ministered to my brother. I witnessed to my brother, was a year behind me. He was at Howard University in DC, HBCU. And he initially kind of was going to Bible studies like he was saved, but he also started going to the Nation of Islam Power Studies. And he eventually joined the Nation of Islam and was in that for like 8 years.
Wow.
And so one of my best friends was very influenced by it too. And they both had started out kind of as Christians and went into the nation. And so they were challenging me all the time on my faith. And so I had to be bold just to withstand their attacks, And so, and then it was as I was studying, a lot of my heroes, Frederick Douglass, I'm talking about extra biblical heroes, because obviously you got Jesus, you got Paul, you got Moses, David, who were bold in the word. So they were heroes. But even African-American heroes, Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, David Walker, Henry Highland Garnett. You can go on and on about Christians who were bold in their faith. And so these are, I know the Bible is telling us to be bold. My heroes were bold. My culture, if you will, from hip hop was bold. I was even looking at my brother and the brothers in the Nation of Islam who were bold. And I was like, man, I got to be bold. Like this is how a man of God should be. Jesus was bold. He never minced words. Now, there's times where you don't need to say everything all the time. But like you said, when the opportunity presents itself, we should be bold. So that really is kind of where it stems from. Right. Just that. And I live by the mantra, like there was a Christian brother who's very well known, who was I was interviewed to potentially write his book. And he was a Christian, and when we were talking about it, one thing I said to him was, God didn't lift me up to where I'm at for me to leave him out. So God didn't give me this national platform for me to all of a sudden act like I don't know him, you know? And so that's really what it is. Again, I don't throw it in people's face. You see me most of the time. Obviously, I'm not talking about the gospel on television, but when the opportunity presents itself, as the Bible says, when the door is open, I got to be ready to preach in season and out of season and listening to the Holy Spirit. Because I've told other people, look, you have to be led by the Holy Spirit. If the Spirit's leading you to be bold and speak out at that time, then do it. Sometimes he may lead you to keep quiet, you know, wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove. So those are really, I guess, the reasons.
I think
let me throw one more thing in.
Yeah.
I know you an MC. I, got saved in '89, got into Christian hip hop in like 1990. And the Christian hip hop at that time, groups like SFC, T-Bone, Freedom of Soul, Dynamic Twins, it was very bold. It was very bold. Like, now later on, you kind of got spiritual light Christian hip hop, and which is fine. I'm cool with that. But at that time, it was very bold, aggressive. A lot of the brothers was from the streets. And I was listening to that. And I was bonding with them like, yo, this is real hip hop. It was only a few that was real hip hop at that time.
Right.
And so that also, made me bold. I remember I was playing. Have you heard of Wado, DJ Wado?
Yes.
Okay, yes. I was playing some of it for him once, the SFC. And he was like, dang, they like aggressive, and they were gospel gangsters. You can go on and on.
Right.
And so I think that, as a young believer who didn't grow up in the Bible-based church, I grew up Catholic, didn't know anything about the Bible. I was really learning from them, and not that everything they said was right, but I was learning from them, and again, that kind of helped contribute to my boldness.
Oh man, somebody's funny. Tell them what you think of that music.
Go ahead.
Only because, the gospel gangsters, I just felt like they were just, the aggression wasn't the problem for me. It was just the level of bars weren't, cause I'm a lyrical guy. You know what I mean? And
have you ever heard of SFC?
I'm not familiar with them.
SFC, to me, they were the premier Christian hip hop group at that time. Soup the Chemist, or now he's Soup the Chemist, he was Super C. Check them out. They were more lyrical. Gospel gangsters were gangster rap.
Right.
I like some of it, but I'm more like you, was more of an East Coast guy. T-Bone was another one that was dope. LPG, if you want bars, they had bars. It was several. Freedom of Soul, Idol King. I'm telling you, man, don't sleep.
Okay.
It was definitely
because I'm New York, so it's like over here, it's about the bars.
It's interesting because at that time, most Christian hip hop, for whatever reason, was coming out of LA. Now, that doesn't mean like Super C was from New York, but in LA. So they had dudes with bars, but it was interesting that Christian hip hop at that time was really largely rooted out in Cali.
Right. No doubt. So, so being so open with your faith in your industry, I'm pretty sure there's been some blowback, and I was wondering if you could speak on that a little bit,
Well, the major blowback was in 2013. When Jason Collins came out as the first NBA player to, be openly homosexual. And I was asked my opinion on that on the show Outside the Lines on ESPN as it related to being a Christian, because he claimed to be a Christian in the article in which he came out in Sports Illustrated. So again, I spoke openly, and I said that basically that lifestyle is not compatible with living the Christian faith. You're living out the Christian faith. And I didn't single out that. I've singled out other, adultery, other forms of sexual immorality.
Right.
And so it's interesting because initially ESPN, I was on with a friend of mine who worked with me at ESPN the magazine, LZ Granderson, who was openly gay, and we were friends. We played on basketball teams together in rec leagues. We had lunch together, things like that. Hung out at the All-Star game together, and but yet we disagreed. You know, obviously he disagreed with my beliefs. I disagreed with his lifestyle, and we could be friends. And so we were. ESPN viewed us as a good example of diversity and tolerance and respecting and loving others despite the differences. And so they had us on the show together. And initially they thought it was great. I got calls from ESPN text. Yo, that was outstanding. We just want to see going forward, do we use you just as a reporter, or do we use you as a person, you know, a commentator giving your opinion? And I was like, whatever y'all want to do, I'm good with it. And because on Sports Center, I had been talking about it earlier as more of a reporter. Just this is what guys around the league are telling me, coaches and things like that, their opinion on it. And then, of course, an hour or two later, the brushback came from the media, the national media. They talked about it everywhere. It was on all the news channels. It was, you know, the CNNs, the Foxes, the MSNBCs, The View. I saw Spike Lee make comments on it. We're Al Sharpton, Whoopi Goldberg, Pat Robertson gave me props. You know, like I mean, it was all over. There was a Christian group calling for me to be fired, and you know, it was just a huge story. And so, and then even Charlemagne on the Breakfast Club made me the donkey of the day. And then I called him.
Oh, wow.
We had a common friend, DJ Clue. We both cool with DJ Clue. So I got in touch with Charlemagne that night. And, man, we had about a 30-minute conversation on it. And he was like, man, I totally understand where you're coming from now. He said, I think you should go on radio or TV and share. Because his whole viewpoint, why he made me donkey of the day, was he thought I was coming off as, you know, I'm perfect and I don't fall short. I'm judging other people. And I was like, it's not even about that. Like, had nothing to do with it. And as I shared with him, you know, share some scriptures, my perspective, the biblical perspective, he was feeling it. And so he was like, man, you should come on our show. So I went on the Breakfast Club. It was on the phone. I wasn't there in person. And actually, you could still, I think, find it on YouTube. It was like a 10-minute interview where I was really able to break down what the word says about homosexuality. And even a lot of people were like, man, that was a great breakdown. Because, you know, the typical non-believer stance is, oh, well, first of all, they only point it out in the Old Testament. And then they say, you know, well, you can't eat shrimp either. You can't wear
right. They don't understand the context of the covenants and all
so
that.
I broke down the context of, you know, the New Testament, the ceremonial laws versus, you know, the moral laws, and even showed the scriptures, the Romans 1, 1 Corinthians 6, other scriptures that deal with that in the New Testament. And so it was good, man. But that was really the only major blowback I've gotten. You know, I do think ESPN, there was only one show, I won't name it, that I wasn't on anymore after that. And they said, you know, it wasn't because of that. But at the time, they were telling me I was their number one replacement when I was sitting in for the host. And one of them was off, I would replace them. And then all of a sudden, I wasn't on it again. But I do think ESPN became leery of having me on shows where I might be able to express my opinion. So when I left ESPN in 2016 to go to Fox, the reason I left, ESPN made me an offer, but they wanted me to be strictly a reporter, you know, sideline reporting, which I love doing. That was fun. And then just going on the shows, reporting news, breaking news, things like that. And Fox offered me we want you more as a commentator, a broadcaster, an opinionist, an analyst. And so that was more appealing to me.
Right.
So like, for instance, ESPN might not, I used to be on First Take a lot, but they probably wouldn't have wanted to have me on First Take anymore, because that's an open discussion where you're not just reporting news, you're actually able to give your opinion on it. Right. And they knew they couldn't control my opinion. And so I like, that's my speculation. They never said that in so many words, but they did say, we just want you as a reporter sharing the news versus giving your opinion. So, but overall, that's pretty much the way it's gone down.
Now, my first I'm into some sports, but I wasn't into the sports channel. I'm into it now. I watch ESPN now, and I was familiar with who you was, but what I found interesting was one day, because I definitely deal a lot with the conscious community, right, with Sonetta and all that. So I watch Sonetta all the time. So lo and behold, one day I'm watching Sonetta, and who's on the platform? But it's Chris Broussard. And he's spitting, defending the gospel. I'm like, oh snap, this dude, I didn't know. And I don't know if you ever checked your inbox, but years ago, I was in your inbox. It's like, yo, fam, we got a link. I didn't know you was like this. This is great. You know what I mean? So, but
I never saw it. Yeah, I never saw that.
Yeah. So, how did that come about? What made you engage into the Black conscious community?
Well, like I said, when I first got saved in 1989, number one, largely because of the influence of hip hop. And like you, I was more into the East Coast rappers. So again, the ones we named, KRS-One, Eric B. and Rakim, Public Enemy, those that were spitting the consciousness. I was coming into my own consciousness, because of that.
Right.
And I was in college. And so I was taking Black studies courses, reading more Black history for the first time. And to be honest, beginning to think of the plight of the Black community from an adult standpoint for the first time. Not just being like, yo, we dominate sports. We can rap, we can dance, we cool, but really looking at our plight and for what it really is, and the oppression, and still the long ways we have to go, the obstacles we need to overcome, so on and so forth. And then, of course, so that was kind of in me. And then I got saved, and my brother eventually, after a few months, is coming at me, attacking me. I'm in the white man's religion, and wow. I've been brainwashed to make myself and those before us docile and better slaves, and so on and so forth. And at first, I didn't know. Number one, I didn't know the Bible. Number two, I'm talking about right after I got saved, a couple of months. Right. So I didn't know the Bible. I didn't know hardly any African history. I didn't know any Black biblical history. All I knew was Jesus and what he did for me.
Right.
And all I knew was Jesus wasn't no racist. That was my defense. Yo, man, look, Jesus wasn't no racist. And we know from where he lived, he wasn't white. That's basically all I could say.
Right.
But I just knew, like, I'm never leaving Jesus. There's no way. And so it's like once I stood up on my faith, just sheer faith, because I love the Lord, it was like all of a sudden God began bringing books to my attention. And I began to discover books on African history, African church history, Black presence in the Bible, and all of that. And so I became an avid reader of Black Christian history or African Christian history. And I even began teaching seminars. This is in the 90s. I began teaching seminars on Blacks in the Bible, in the hood, in churches, colleges. I would even work it in when I went to speak at high schools and things like that. And I, so I was that, and that's what I mean, like Black apologetic or urban apologetics, if you will. Obviously, the first real populist in the black community challenges to the gospel. The main ones, the strongest one came with the Nation of Islam in the 60s with Malcolm X. And so the initial response, the forerunners of what are now the urban apologists, was like James Cone, creating black liberation theology, which I don't agree with all of it, but, that was their answer.
Right.
And you had James Cone and C. Eric Lincoln beginning to research black church history and things like that. That was kind of the first form of urban apologetics. Then in the late 80s, early 90s, when the Nation of Islam had a resurgence under Louis Farrakhan, that's when you first started having en masse. You had a few way before, but you began to have books coming out about blacks in the Bible. Dr. Tony Evans and Reverend William Dwight McKissick wrote books on blacks in the Bible. Reverend Walter McCray. I mean, I got dozens of books dealing with the African or black presence in scripture, identifying black characters in the Bible. So that was another surge. And now you guys are like that third wave. And so my thing was the one thing I recognized was that many, like the books that were being written on blacks in the Bible and Dr. Tony Evans and people that would share, in many ways, they were preaching to the choir.
Right.
They were, which was needed at that time because people didn't really know about, and even today, let's keep it real, about blacks in the Bible and stuff. But it wasn't really penetrating the conscious community. And so my view was we have to get Christians a seat at the conscious community table. Because as a mission field, not to just debate and outsmart them and blah, blah, blah. It was to reach those brothers and get them saved and reach those whom they're influencing. And so that's when I saw a little Signetter on the internet. And so I went and I was, I live in New Jersey. So I'm in Harlem, not a lot, but, regularly I go to Harlem, go out to eat, go 125th Street, stuff like that. And so I was there one day and, you always see the vendors. Right. And I like rapping with the brothers selling the books. And
right.
I look for Muslims,
like, head hunting for Muslims.
I heard David Richards say, you never hear the Nation Islam debate because they can't, like, that is weird. That used to be the big challenge in the 90s was the nation. Right. And it's so easy to dismantle their views now, So I'll be looking for Muslims like but I'm looking, so I'm walking down 125th and I see some brothers selling books. I'm like, yo, where's Signetter? Because I knew he was on 125th
right.
from the videos. And I'm like, yo, Signetter around, whatever, And so he was in a parked car like down the street. So they called him and he came up and he put me on immediately. I don't know which one you saw.
I saw that one. And I saw the other one where you actually sat down in the restaurant and chopped it up with him. Right.
So that was the thing. He went right at it, so we talked a little. And then we agreed to do something at Sylvia's. And that's what you saw when I was at Sylvia's and he was interviewing me. So my whole purpose was to, get a foot in the door of the conscious community and be able to share, whether it's blacks in the Bible, whether it's early African church history, the role that blacks played in the formation of Christianity, the fact that of the three patron saints of the conscious community, Nat Turner, Marcus Garvey, and Malcolm X, two of them were Christians, Nat Turner and Marcus Garvey. And so just wanted to share that with the conscious community.
Right.
And then Signetter and I, we did one more like that.
And by the way, they don't mention Garvey as much as they used to
No,
because of that.
no.
They
And
really
because
don't.
here's the thing, and even a lot of Christians will look at Garvey like, oh, was he just a nominal Christian? Look at his quotes. Marcus Garvey knew, like even Jabari and some of the conscious community, they'll say, well, at that time, nobody knew there was an alternative. They did. No, one of his mentors was Muslim. Like, he was very aware of Islam and other Black religions, if you will, or alternatives. And he stated on many occasions that he'll never leave Jesus Christ, and that he is committed to the gospel, the true gospel, not the American gospel, but the true biblical gospel. And so he was a bona fide Christian, same with Nat Turner. And so
now this is really important, right? Because you're giving us some context that this is like the origin of the debate between Bantu and Jabari. So I know that you're kind of giving us the timeline. So this is great. So please continue.
I set that up. So
I don't think people knew that. People don't know that because we kind of kept it behind the scenes. You know what I mean? So this is the mastermind, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm like the Don King.
He was the Don King. He was the Don King of the debate, ladies and gentlemen. So but please continue.
So what we did, Sinette and I met for lunch one day in Harlem, and we wanted to set up a debate. I was like, look, man, let's do a debate. I see your debates. Let's do one. And initially, it's a lot to it, man. So first of all, we were at a vegan, I forgot what the name of it. It was a vegan soul food restaurant in Harlem.
Seasoned Vegan.
Yeah.
Seasoned Vegan? Yeah, I've been
there.
What
was that? What'd you say?
Seasoned Vegan? What's it called, Seasoned Vegan?
I think so.
I've been there. I like that.
Only one of its kind.
That
was probably it.
Yeah.
So right next to us, as we're talking this out, was a minister at Abyssinian Church in Harlem, right?
Okay.
Where Reverend Calvin Butts is the pastor.
Right.
And so he says, he hears us, he's not eavesdropping, but literally he's right next to us.
Right.
And so he's like, hey man, if y'all put this together, after he knew me from TV, so that's the way he got in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
He said, y'all can do it at Abyssinian if you want. And so we were like, oh, that'd be dope. But so then when I get home, I look up Abyssinian on the the internet, and I knew about Abyssinian, but I'm looking I want to see pictures.
Right.
Because I'm like, there's no way we doing this in a church that's got all these pictures of white Jesus. The debate would be over. Like
they would just point at the window. He's like, you see, look.
It's over. And so I looked up the images, and sure enough, they've got all these images of white biblical characters, and I'm like, man, we ain't doing Abyssinian. We ain't even talking to them about it. So then we set up. I talked to a church in Philadelphia, Mother Bethel AME. Eric Mason, Reverend Eric Mason, Pastor Eric Mason had mentioned it because they had a big statue of Richard Allen in the front of the church, and obviously they're a pillar of the community. So I talked to their pastor. He was very open to it. The price was right. He's giving us a nice hookup because he wanted it to happen.
Right.
And so at the end of this great conversation, which was about 30 minutes or so, I said, you know what? I said, I think I know the answer to this. Because I've been in AME churches. One of my favorite pastors was Reverend Dr. Frank Madison Reed at Bethel AME in Baltimore. Big picture of a Black Jesus, Black biblical characters in his church, So I'm figuring, okay, the AME is going to be, not going to have that stuff. So I asked this pastor, I say, I think I know the answer, but I just got to throw this by you. Are there any pictures of white biblical characters, Jesus in your church? And he's like, man, there is a huge one on the ceiling staring down at the pulpit. And at first I thought he was joking, honestly. And I kind of start chuckling. And then as I'm listening, it's clear he's serious. And he's like, that's a part of our history. And, we have it up there with pride because it's a part of our history. And so I was like, okay, I didn't go in on him. I was just like, respectfully, okay, we'll be in touch. And, I was like, that's X out. And let me say this, that mentality, and I respect that pastor. He does a lot of good work, but that mentality is so short-sighted.
Right.
Because number one, it's not the main thing is it's not historically accurate.
Right.
If Jesus looked like that and we knew it, then so be it. You deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Right. But we know that's not historically accurate. We know that's been a tool of white supremacy, that image. And what about your young kids growing up in your church, seeing this image that God is the very opposite of them, and so is everybody else in the Bible, and what that can do to your psychology.
Sure.
And so, and I'm not really a proponent of any pushing out any images of Jesus, as black, white, whatever, just, but if you're going to do it, as far as, you sometimes you're going to do it in books for kids and stuff, but do it accurately. He was a person of color, So, but anyway, that's just a little backstory. So the initial debate, BK, was supposed to be a team debate.
Right.
Where we were going to have a team of Christian apologists, urban apologists, versus their team. And one of the first conversations we had, man, it was me, Tazariak on the phone, Captain Tazariak from the Hebrew Israelites, Jabari, Amin Ankh from the Amin Ra squad,
okay, and
Sa Netter. And Jabari wasn't on this one. He was on he may have been, maybe he was, and what became quite clear was that they don't agree on anything. So it was like, how in the world are we going to debate when our team is Christian, we agree, but y'all don't agree on anything, And in fact, Tazariak, the Hebrew Israelites, had more in common with me and us because of his respect for the Bible than he had with them, So it was like, that's just not going to be possible to do. And so then eventually we tried to get it where it was going to be, they would have the Jabari, Garfield from the Dagger squad, and somebody from the Amin Ra squad. But it still was a similar problem in that they didn't have common ground on their side.
Right.
And Sa Netter, it was just tough, to be honest, putting it together. He,
What was the original lineup on both sides?
For the Christians, it was Eric Mason, Pastor Eric Mason, Vince Bantu, Dr. Bantu, and there was one more because it was 3 sections.
Right.
Our research team, we had Adam Coleman from True ID. Right. We had Damon may have been one of the debaters, but he was definitely at the very least on the research team. Damon Richardson.
I think he was part of the team, the debate team.
He might have been because we had a team, but it was only 3 that were going to debate, and then the rest were going to be researching. Right. So I think the 3 debaters were Pastor Mason, Damon Richardson,
and Bantu.
And Bantu. And so
well, that's how I come in, because Adam, they needed a research team, but then Adam reached out to me and I became part of the research team.
Right. So that fell apart. We're actually going to have it at Christian Cultural Center, the biggest church in New York City.
Right.
But Sa Netter it just wasn't coming together. And so then I said, you know what? Because Sa Netter, and I've told him this to his face, it was hard to work with him because it was just roadblocks. And Sa Netter does great for what he does, but there's some things that to get to the next level that he got to do. And it's really like, I was supposed to have a debate on TV on his network with Polite.
Oh, wow.
One day. This is before the debate.
We're going to be talking about Polite in a minute, but
Yeah. But we had it set up, where it was going to be, we were talking about it was going to be a conversation, but I knew it was going to get.
Right. You know what it is. Right.
So we were going to do it at Sinetter's apartment. So I had all the King brothers in New York come in support.
Facts.
We were like 30 deep. So we went to Sinetter's apartment in Harlem, 30 deep, and he's not there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yo, I called him. I'm like, yo, dude, what's up? He lived on, I don't know, 132nd, 135th, something like that. He's down at 125th Street when we supposed to have the debate. I'm like, yo, dude, we here for the debate. What's up? He's like, yo, I'm at 125th. Why don't y'all come down? I'm like, we ain't coming down, man. We here. We were supposed to do it. And I said, where's Polite, by the way? Polite, it was on an airplane flying into town. At the time, we were scheduled for the debate. So that type of unprofessionalism, man, it was hard to deal with.
What happened is he got the word that you came through with the goons, and he's like, nah, chill.
Yeah, that's what all the King brothers were like, yo, he saw how deep we were, and they didn't want it. Because I wanted that presence. Because
of course.
One thing that appeals to Black men, and I'm sure Latino men as well, is a show of natural masculine strength.
Absolutely.
That's one reason the Nation of Islam had been so attractive, because they look strong on the outside. You know, the Hebrew Israelites show themselves marching and all that, because that's a show of strength.
Right.
Hip hop is a show of natural strength.
Right.
And so when we can combine that with the gospel, with the spiritual strength of the gospel, that can be very effective as an apologetic and a witness.
But I didn't know that. I didn't know you pulled up 30 deep. That's crazy.
Man, we rolled up deep. We were ready to roll up in there. And so eventually I said, you know what? I'm moving on without Sinetta. And so I talked to Jabari.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
Myself.
All right.
And I was like, yo, we want to do this debate. And so I said, forget the teams. It's gonna be easier one-on-one. So we're gonna go Bantu versus Jabari. We did it without Sinetta. Sinetta was upset. He initially had some beef with Jabari. They have fell out for a minute.
Yeah.
But Jabari liked the way, he loved the debate. It was professional. It was no beef. We disagreed, obviously, but everybody was respectful. And so that's kind of how that came to be. But my main point is this. My goal, again, was to get Christians a seat at the table, because I see that they bang on. First of all, obviously, they're banging on Christianity. And then when they do bring a Christian in, it tends to be an uneducated Christian, or someone who loves the Lord but can't defend the faith, and they get smashed.
Right.
And so I wanted to get real apologists at the table where they can, consistently be on that platform combating these lies that these brothers are telling. And I've told Sinetter, Ankh, all these brothers in the conscious community, I've told them, I said, look, a lot of y'all gonna get saved. I said that's Black history. That's Black American history. You got ex-Black Panthers, you got ex-Black Muslims, you got ex-Hebrew Israelites, you got, that come to the Lord. And that's the story of.
So you threatened them with redemption? You threatened them with redemption? Some of y'all gonna get saved.
I told them this. I said, look, my goal, I know a lot of y'all gonna get saved, because they got, all of them dudes got a grandmother,
an
aunt, a wife, in some occasions, possibly.
Right.
I don't know that for a fact, but they have family members who are Christian.
Sure.
And so, they grew up in the church. So, in a lot of them, they're seeds. But I said, my goal, I want you to get saved now, when you're young, energetic, you got that fire, you can really go out and help your people with the gospel.
Right.
I'd rather you get saved then than you're 75 years old. You done tried everything else. You done tried every scheme, and you just come to the Lord broken down. And I submit, like, finally, and thank God you'll be saved,
right?
But you're not going to be out in the community really doing a lot of work. So I tell them that, and I firmly believe that because, again, that is, that's Black history.
Right.
And Conrad Muhammad, who used to be
Sonetta is a
heir apparent, him
right.
or Khalid Muhammad, one of them.
Khalid Muhammad, right.
He's a Christian minister now.
So, all right, so the debate takes place. And can you give us your thoughts on the debate itself? Like, how did you feel overall?
I thought it was very good. I thought Bantu was fantastic. I thought, especially in the first segment, I think that one is Christianity a white man's religion. I thought he was spectacular on that one. I thought the second one, which is Christianity a copy of ancient Kemetic science, I thought he let a lot of things go. And even in the first segment, I thought there were some simple things he could have just said that were clear that he didn't really share that let Jabari off the hook. For instance, this. Jabari was saying, and I know I got more than an hour, so don't worry about the time.
Cool.
You got it.
Yeah, I'm here. Let's go.
Jabari was saying Christianity entered Africa through violence. Remember, he kept saying that, which is so wrong, and it's simple. You could have just pointed out, obviously, the church at Antioch, 2 of the 3 leaders that laid hands on the Apostle Paul and sent him out to the Gentiles were Black. One of them was of Cyrene, right. or you could mention Lucius of Cyrene. Cyrene was in Africa. He wasn't a Christian because of violence. You could have mentioned Mark going to, Egypt and sharing the gospel. You could have mentioned Matthew going to Ethiopia and sharing the gospel. There were so much evidence and so many instances of the gospel being shared peacefully in Africa that you could have destroyed. That I thought Bantu let him slide on that. He really didn't.
No, he did mention that it was prior to any of those Roman persecutions, that there was already an authentic African Christianity prior. Right. He didn't make mention of that.
Right.
Maybe he didn't press the issue. Maybe.
Yeah, I thought he could have hit it harder.
Yeah.
And then I thought with the horse, I really wanted him to dispel the whole Jesus horse connection. True. Which he didn't, just fully knock it out the box. That needs to be destroyed once and for all.
Absolutely.
And then I thought the third part where it was about, it's Christianity, which one's better for them. I didn't think either of them, like Bantu he gave a great, the thing I loved about Bantu is that the gospel, he was presenting the gospel.
Yes.
It wasn't just an intellectual historical exercise. He did it in such a great way that it didn't stick out. It was just kind of within the presentation, it was clear throughout his entire presentation, the 3 parts, that the gospel was shining. And that was what was best. And
if you remember, Jabari actually acquiesced the 3rd round because he said, "I don't have a plan for us."
Well, and I thought, so you're right. Jabari was like, if you think I have a plan for Black America, you're mistaken, right?
Right.
And Bantu, so he had almost won that one by default.
Right.
But Bantu presented the gospel, which was phenomenal. But he didn't address, and I understood his logic, but I also thought you could have talked a little about what the Black church has done for the Black community in America.
Actually, he did for about 5 minutes. He didn't unpack it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
and even because he talked about the mentality, right?
Right.
And it gave some of our freedom fighters, which I thought you could have been expounded on more.
Sure.
And he even talked to me before when we talked on the phone about how Christianity even built institutions and help in Africa, come up and stuff. So I thought some of that he might share.
Right.
But one of the best things I heard was that Pastor Eric Mason, where the debate was at his church, he said one of the brothers from the Kemetic side after the debate sought him out and asked him for prayer.
Wow.
So that was the best thing.
Amen.
So I thought it was really, I thought the debate was great.
Now, what's your thoughts? What are your thoughts of the aftermath of the debate, and what was your thoughts about the aftermath of that debate from the Kemetic side? Because we saw Garfield like almost every day after the debate for like 4 to 5 hours at a time, commenting on the debate. I don't know if you saw some of that.
Yeah, I knew they were, because I actually, I'm in touch with those guys, Garfield and Ankin, and they were saying they heard Jabari got wasted, and Tazariak, and Tazariak was there.
Yeah,
and,
he gave it up. He said Bantu, yeah.
We've met. He wants to debate. He wants to debate somebody from our group, but he lives here near me in New Jersey, so we've met for coffee and stuff. But I didn't watch a lot of what they were saying, but I heard that they were saying, like I said, they texted me themselves saying they heard Jabari got beat, and so I don't know overall though what they're, but I know Sidenetter had Bantu on, which again I think is great, because I'm not, as much as I know about Black biblical history and African church history and stuff, I don't have the time to dig in like you guys, because of my job and stuff.
Right.
And so I just want to open that door, and now y'all can get in there and tear these boys apart, and hopefully they get saved. So
it's funny. I was telling people that the classical vampire, right? The vampire can't go into your house. You have to invite the vampire in. So with this debate and with you, they let you in. I don't know if they realize they let all of us in right behind you.
Right. And look, Sidenetter will want. I think the door will be open to Christians. He's had Brother Berean and stuff.
Right.
And Berean lets him slide too. Like, it's some stuff.
Well, Berean plays possum.
Yeah.
When he's up there. He plays possum a lot. Yeah.
I'm out for that. Like, you need to go at them boys, because they're using that to,
Right.
But he just wants it, on his terms,
right.
On his couch, and
right.
I don't know how much real, real stuff he wants, but
So now
he's effective in reaching people.
Absolutely.
So I think we need
absolutely.
Yeah.
So we had this debate, right? So of course, we were clamoring for the next debate. So Damon Richardson, just throws, an idea in the air one day on Facebook saying, "Hey man, I would love to, debate Brother Polite," and did you see that first post, or did you reach out to Damon? Give us some of that background as well. Like, how did that?
Damon, I think either he reached out to me or I reached out to him. I think he reached out to me. I know I saw him on your show saying I saw his post.
Right.
And I reached out to him. I don't remember exactly. I don't know if it was that or if he reached out to me saying, "Hey,
right,
I want to debate Polite. Can you get me in touch with him?" But I'm in touch with Polite. And so I was like, "Oh yeah, definitely." So I hit Polite like, "Hey, my man Damon Richardson wants to debate you. Are you cool with me hooking y'all up?" And he was like, "Yeah." So I just sent them a joint text.
Okay.
Saying, introducing them and then letting them take it from there. And one thing Polite, I don't think he was familiar with Damon, but he began looking at Damon's stuff on YouTube and researching it. And he was like, yo, he texted me like, "This dude is brilliant." All the things he said today, he's like, "This will definitely be my toughest debate. I have nothing but respect for this brother. He is brilliant." Like, he really was very, very impressed with Damon, as he should be.
Right. right.
And so then they took it from there. And I told Polite this, and again, I've said it to Sidenetter in various forms in the past, with this whole thing that went down recently. Because Polite was upset that he had been taped, without his knowledge, which I understand. And I was like, "Look, man, you should have never brought Sinetta in. Y'all were rolling. Y'all were on the track to have it. You have your following. Damon's got his. It would have been big. And I said, just from my experience with Sa, and I like Sa. You know, I count him as a friend. But he's difficult to work with. I think because, look, he's making money off this. And let me say this. I got no issue with that. I got no issue with him feeding his family off of this.
Sure.
In the world, that's what happens. People that are whites who teach, they get paid for it.
Right.
Now, he's teaching some wrong stuff, but so do whites that teach wrong stuff. They're just able to get an official job and teach at a school, and they make money off it. So I understand if a brother's doing that and he's making money legally, taking care of his family, I get that. And even as Damon has said, you putting in time and effort. Like if you're getting paid off what you do, that's good. I support that, you know. And so I don't have any problem with him making money.
Right.
But I just think sometimes it leads him to do things that, you know, they just jam things up. And that's what he did. And again, maybe Polite wanted that because he didn't really want to debate Damon. But that's what I told him. I said, you were going to get slaughtered. And you know, you didn't want none.
Right. And I mean, and we see that. We saw, you know, Damon, you know, he showed all his CVS receipts from the text messaging, you know, so it's not like it wasn't happening. It was definitely a thing, you know. I mean, Polite even went out and made up his own flyer for the debate. So it was on and popping, you know.
Right.
So, I mean, is there any chance of this actually still happening, in your opinion?
My last correspondence was with Polite. I said, look, the bottom line is this. Y'all need to go ahead and debate because now you don't need a weigh-in. Now now people want it more than ever.
Right.
That was the weigh-in. And what he texted me back was, I hear you. You know? So he wasn't like, nah, man, forget him. He wasn't like, you know, he just said, I hear you. It was almost in a conciliatory, like he was making a concession to, yeah, you're right. But I don't know if he wants that smoke. Now he got something coming because he did text me saying, just remember your man took it there first, you know, meaning when he taped him without his knowledge. I don't know what he's planning, but you know, he may bring something, but he's gonna get beat. He's gonna get crushed if they do it. And it doesn't help him to get crushed, you know.
And honestly, after this, the bag is so much bigger now. It's like he's leaving a lot of money on the floor by not taking this debate.
Right.
If that's what he's concerned about, you know. So.
Yeah. I sincerely hope they have it. And they're lucky because it's interesting. Before the Jabari Bantu debate, I was going to go on Sinetter's channel one day just to pub it, you know. And Damon was going to come with me. Damon was going to come up from, you know, where he's at in the South up with me to, you know, meet them. And something came up where he couldn't make it. And then I couldn't make, you know, it fell apart. But that would have been hot.
Yep.
Because they force you into a debate. And Damon that would have been great because he would have got them right then and there. I think Jabari would have been there.
Yeah. It's supposed to be at Jabari's place, right? I think, if I remember.
Jabari, they did meet a couple of my King brothers who aren't apologists, you know, but a couple of them and Brother Berean went.
Right, I remember that. I remember that video.
That's where Berean was playing possum. Too much, so in my opinion. We told him, don't give him much, you know, but you have to just, you know, submit like that. But they attacked the King brothers, who again weren't apologists.
Right.
And you know, Jabari was see, that was the thing. We were told it's just gonna be, you just kind of introduce the debate. You can say a little something about King, and that'll be that.
Jabari had notes prepared.
Yeah, he had his iPad with 3 things he wanted to hit, and it's like, don't tell me you didn't prepare for that. And they walking in, blind. So
Right.
that's how they do things, though.
This is true. This is true. Man.
So they
So
can't get mad. They can't get mad at Damon. Like, come on.
well,
You know?
Polite actually said he wanted it to go live during the
Right,
phone call.
right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, it's
Right.
crazy, bro. So man. So if you got a couple of minutes, would you take some questions from the chat? Would that
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
okay? All right, guys, we got Chris Broussard. If you want to ask him any questions in particular, I know the Damon Polite thing is definitely on everybody's mind. So if you got questions about that, or you know, I think Polite and the Country Committee have too much to lose. Yes, I would agree.
Listen,
Because
Rick,
yeah, go ahead, bro.
because see, I don't really know that Polite is beholden to any philosophy, and I don't know that Sinetter is, other than, Afrocentricity, I guess, is
Right,
Sinetter, ultimate spirituality. But this is their meal ticket. This is how they make money. This is how
right,
they eat, particularly
right,
Sinetter. And
right.
you're right. If we dismantle that, then what's he got left? And so that's a very good point.
So is the $400 narrative with Jabari true? Was it a problem before the debate happened? Because they talked about that.
I don't
That's
even
all
know what the
Jabari made.
$400 narrative is.
That's all they gave Jabari for the debate.
That's
All he
all we
paid him.
gave him.
Yeah, for the debate with
Oh,
Bantu.
yeah, because this is Jabari never was happy with the 400 because Sinetter, according to Jabari, Sinetter never paid him for any of the debates or any of the things he did for Sinetter. Nothing. Now, Sinetter had told me before he was making Jabari money. He was helping Jabari get paid. Jabari told me after that, he's like, Sinetter, I never have been given one dime from Sinetter. And so we paid both Bantu and Jabari $400, which we know wasn't a lot, but it was what we could pay. And
Right.
so we paid their, the Bantu transportation and all that. So we gave them the $400, and which again was 400 times more than he's ever made.
Right.
So Jabari was not complaining. I don't know what the narrative became, but they weren't. He wasn't complaining. He was
Because Sai was talking to Damon about that. Like that's all he made. He has a family that he needs to feed. And I'm like, Jabari's doing quite well for himself. He's a homeowner. He owns a
And if you're
brownstone.
so concerned about him, you pay him something for all he's doing for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It says here, would you step in to try to push this debate forward?
I mean, I do, like I may reach out to Polite again and I probably will within a week or so and just say, so what's up? Y'all gonna do this debate or, but I won't try to, at least not right now online, while we're locked down, try to put it together.
Right.
If they don't do it online and we can, maybe put it together.
I think it would be easier to go online, right? Because we have to worry about any overhead.
Right.
And then, Damien can have his streaming service, they can have their streaming service.
Right.
And we have to worry about,
That's where, money obviously complicates things. And with the first debate, the goal wasn't to make money.
Right.
Eric Mason and I put in a lot of our own money, and we did get paid back from it because we made some money from the debate so we could break even.
Right.
But Jabari's main thing wasn't money. It was to get the information out. Bantu's main thing wasn't money. Eric's main thing wasn't money, and mine wasn't. So that's one reason we were able to have it work out smoothly. Polite wants to make money. Again, no problem with that. But that can make things more complicated in how you do it. So I'd be willing to help out if any way I can. But I don't know, I don't know if I'll be able to bring it together or not.
Somebody asked, where was it? I can't find it now. Somebody mentioned, would you try to set up a debate with Bantu and Wesley Muhammad?
Yes. I would love to.
That would
I
be
think
super dope.
that'd be a great debate.
'Cause yeah, that's a smart guy. What's Muhammad's a
Yeah,
very
yeah,
smart dude.
yep. That'd be. I would love that. He is the one of the brothers in the nation that does debate. Yeah, and now I do think that, like I said, the Nation of Islam at this point is kind of low hanging fruit. You know, they don't have the influence they used to. I mean, like I said, the nation used to be the big challenge, you know,
Right,
for
right.
black men, but not as much now. But yeah, that could be, or it could be Bantu versus Wesley, or Damon versus Wesley.
Damon would be great because Damon comes from the nation.
Right, right.
That
I
would be
think Damon, as great as Bantu was against Jabari, I think Damon's more of a debater.
yes,
You
absolutely.
know,
Well, that was Bantu's first debate.
right. I think Bantu is
So
more of a scholar who did debate, but he's more of a scholar. But I think Damon's more of a debater, and so
right.
maybe Damon, might be.
Here's an interesting question: who is a Christian apologist you know in the NBA actively playing? He's like, nope.
I mean, I know Christians, but nah, none of them that I know are on that level.
Well, let me rephrase the question: is who's like the most vocal about their faith? Who is an active player in the NBA?
Well, Steph is, I think, one of the most vocal. You know, Steph. Someone told me he's been having on IG. He actually was having some like praise and worship sessions on IG during this shutdown. I've talked to him about our faith a few times, and he's solid. Like Steph is real.
Okay.
He's a lot of dudes you're not sure. Some of them just grew up in the church. Some of them go to pregame chapel out of superstition.
Right.
Some of them are real, but really battling back and forth in the world. Steph's legit. Kyle Korver, who obviously isn't black, but his dad was a pastor. He's solid.
Okay.
So there are brothers, but I don't know of any that are really that into the apologetics or anything like that.
All right. Thomas White says they still need to get that work. Risa Islam out here saying anything.
Yeah, that might. I mean, yeah, you're right.
We did a video. Me and Adam did a breakdown
I
video.
gotta watch that one, and I love what y'all did on Candace Owens, and that was great because she running off at the mouth a little too much. Like, I mean, come on, like.
Right. I mean, respectfully, we had a fact checker. You know what I mean? That's all we did.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think they do need to be checked. RZA, Wesley, whoever wants to get it. Nuri Muhammad, he's more of a preacher, but
yeah, he's not gonna debate. I can't see him. I can't see him getting on stage.
I think he wants to be the next Farrakhan.
Well, he looks like young
right.
Farrakhan,
He's
right?
He's trying to model every single thing he does after Farrakhan.
Absolutely.
That's one of the attractions there.
Right. So, who else? Like, if you had the ability to set up, like outside of Damon and Polite, who would you like to see on the debate stage?
I think I would like to see Wesley debate one of our. It could be, Damon. It could be Adam. It could be Bantu.
Sure.
I think, and I think, maybe even a team debate with the Nation of Islam, where you did have Wesley and Rissa, and we had, 3 topics, and each, because I think with them, I think you could do a great, just off the top of my head, it could be is Christianity the white man's religion? It could be is Islam, a black religion or whatever, the black man's religion, which is something they've always pushed. Or it could be who's done more for the black community or which is better. I think that would be concrete stuff, and we would obviously dismantle them. So I think that would be good. I think the Hebrew Israelites, we just got to find what the debate is with the Hebrew Israelites. Is it more doctrinal? because we talked about this. I talked with Eric and I think Bantu. Well, the debate with Sinetta that Sinetta was going to have with Bantu and was it Bantu?
Yeah.
Yeah. We had talked to Vince about like what's the debate going to be? Because again, Sinetta was just putting it together. He wasn't paying for Vince to come out. I was like, you need to. He at the very least needs to pay for you to fly out and hotel.
Facts.
And he was, and I mean, whether you get an honorarium or not is up to you. But at the very least, he needs to pay for that.
Absolutely.
So they got nerve trying to talk about what we didn't do. But and then they didn't even have a topic. So we talked with Vince. We were like, look, you need to nail down a topic. And so it was like, do we? Because I do believe the biblical Hebrews were people of color.
Right.
And it's clear they had African blood in them. You know.
Right.
I do believe, you know, Flavius Josephus said 1 million Jews went into Africa. So I don't believe their full thing that we're the, you know, definitely the descendants of biblical Hebrews and all that. But to me, the debate is, regardless of that, do you accept Jesus as the Lord and Savior? Is he the Messiah?
Right.
You know, but that's how I said to Bantu, to me, that's the debate.
Right.
You know, but that's not going to be appealing to the conscious community. I think it would be appealing to the church and to the Hebrew Israelites. But the rest of the conscious community probably doesn't care. But I think that would be a good debate to set up. So those are some of the debates.
Right.
All those dudes, to be honest, dude, bring on Ali Muhammad. What's he doing now?
He's not doing much. not live on YouTube.
I mean, Umar, I think hasn't he been? Has he
ever debated anybody? Umar Johnson?
No, but he's a preacher. He's that's all he is.
I mean, maybe if you call him out, he might come out to debate you.
Yeah. I've never interacted with Umar. You know, I think he's had some issues though recently, right?
He's always having some kind of little mini scandal happening.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting question. It says here, I heard LeBron is Catholic. If so, I was wondering, has Chris ever had private conversations with LeBron or other Catholic players concerning Catholicism or other religious beliefs? Well, if they're private conversations, I don't think he can expound upon that.
Right. But I'll say this. I don't believe LeBron's Catholic. He went to a Catholic high school. And but I do know that coming up in Akron, he went to a church called the House of the Lord with one of his coaches, and who was very influential in his life, Drew Joyce, who was his first high school coach, or I'm sorry, his second high school coach. LeBron's great friends with Drew's son, Drew Jr., who played with LeBron, and they're a Christian family, and they brought LeBron to church. I know at one time as a teenager, LeBron went up, you know, I was told, I believe, went up to the altar, you know, gave his life, you know. So, but I don't believe he's Catholic, but I've never had a real deep conversation with him about spirituality. But I think, you know, I mean, we've seen enough to know that LeBron references God, and, you know, sometimes they say the man upstairs and all that. But yeah. So let me put it this way: he's been exposed to the gospel. I know that.
Cool. Something that me and Adam have come across, and you might have experienced this too, about how, you know, because of our stance, right, the evangelical community isn't that happy with us, right? Because there's certain things
the white evangelical.
Yes.
Happy with the urban apologists.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
But at the same time, right, then we have the pro-black community also upset with us, right? Because I feel like we can't just really just be nuanced in our belief. You know, it's like, have you had that issue that both sides kind of coming at you?
You know what, man? I hadn't thought of this, but I'm glad you brought it up, because, and I do want to hear when you say the white evangelical community is not happy with it. I want to hear what their beef is. But this is where, and this is what helped me, let's face it, get in the conscious community. The Signetter was my platform.
Right.
Because I'm, was on ESPN at that time, now on Fox. And so it's the same thing with the white evangelicals. I've spoken at some of the biggest churches in the country. I speak at traditional Black churches, multiracial churches, white evangelical churches, Asian, Hispanic, Catholic, Protestant, Church of God in Christ. Like I have a very wide range of fellowship in the body of Christ that I think many people don't have, because even people who interact with other races in the body of Christ, they tend to interact with their own group, like Reformed or Word of Faith or Charismatic. They might be in multiracial, but there's that one doctrinal stance. I interact with a variety, which I think is a blessing of my platform. So when I speak at evangelical church, I address racism a lot. Not every single time, but a lot it comes up. And they hear me. And they at least appear to be receptive. And afterwards they talk to me and stuff. And it's because of my platform. And because I am mainstream. So they probably feel like, well, he can't be too radical because he's mainstream.
Right.
So we can,
and you're light skinned, so
right. Too. But, so I'm able to get in those, and the way I look at it, look, the body of Christ needs unity. And let's just talk about the American body of Christ. We need unity. If we're ever going to have the revival, the spiritual awakening that I'm sure all of us want, it's only going to come with unity. Right. Jesus even said that, John 17:21, when you are one as I and the Father are one, that's when the world will believe the Father sent me. That's when they'll believe in Jesus. And we've been so disunified that, we got no witness. And so I think that we need I can maybe be a conduit because of my platform to try to help bring true unity. It's got to be based on truth.
Michelle brings up a point. When Adam posted the Candace Owens video, they were in the chat angry, saying stuff like he didn't know what American exceptionalism is and all kinds of stuff. Many were putting their American title first. Adam lost subscribers. That video that we did about Candace Owens, he uploaded in his channel. He immediately lost like 5 subscribers.
Wow.
So yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. And look, that's. I was just talking with Jency Acosta. Are you familiar with Jency?
No.
Great brother. He's a King member. He goes to the Gathering Church in Harlem.
Okay.
Out scholar, has advanced degrees. Went to Princeton Theological Seminary, NIAC. Just a great brother. But we were talking about how he's going to begin teaching on how it is a necessity that we divorce the gospel from American nationalism. And that is where so many white evangelicals, their gospel is mixed in with American nationalism, American exceptionalism, all of that. And that is stunting the advancement of the gospel. I say it and I say it again. America has never seen true biblical Christianity. And we need to show, that's why it's throwing it out. It's lost its flavor. It's throwing, Jesus said it's not good for anything but to be trampled on.
Right.
And so we need to show America true biblical Christianity. And I think that's one thing we're all engaged in doing.
Right. CMB says, quote unquote, just preach the gospel is the 21st century equivalent of shut up and sing.
Exactly. And let me say this. I was on the podcast yesterday talking about this. We see it right now where the white evangelicals are telling us when we speak out about justice, they're telling us, just preach the gospel. Be quiet. Just preach the gospel. Okay. But yet white evangelicals have always gotten involved with social issues that face them. It goes back to before this, but prohibition. Okay, they got involved with the white evangelical church was involved with prohibition. Even the battles between the corporate titans when the industrialization first came, and you had corporate titans and you had the working class that created the unions. The white evangelicals got involved in that. They obviously have gotten involved in abortion. They obviously have gotten involved in, fighting same-sex marriage. And today, many of these people who are flouting the social distancing rules and who are going against, going up to these capitals and stuff are white evangelicals. Those are all social issues. So they have no problem, really, they have no problem speaking out about social issues. It's only when people of color speak out about social issues that they tell us, oh, just preach the gospel. That is the epitome of racism, because racism is ultimately saying, I and my ethnicity, my skin color, we have rights and privileges to do things that other groups don't.
Right.
And that's exactly what they're saying with their actions. We, as white people, can speak out on social issues, but Black Christians, brown Christians cannot.
Right.
And look at Falwell over at Liberty. He was talking about, he had a gun, talking about he gonna get his gun. Let them Muslims come up here. I got my gun. I mean, it is such. And look, here I gotta say this too.
Go ahead.
Because I have battled this since I've been saved. We all, I'm sure all of us, battled the notion or the myth that Christianity is the white man's religion.
Right.
Not in my own mind, but that's what we fight against with our brothers and sisters who are African American or Latino or whatever. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, even other people of color, Asians and Indians, they have the same battle that is the white man's religion. And I fought it with history about the early African Christian church, the Black presence in the Bible, Black American church history, the gospel itself, Bible, the Bible itself. That's how I've tend to fought that notion, that myth that Christianity is a white man's religion. But we also have to acknowledge, and our brother Jerome Gay, Pastor Jerome Gay, who was also on our team,
right,
coming out with a book soon called The Whitewashing of Christianity. And we have to acknowledge that white Americans have presented the gospel and Christianity as the white man's religion. And they're still doing it today. They won't come out now and say it's a white religion, but they present it as such, whether it's all the biblical characters being portrayed as white, or it's their interest, the interest of white people being put in with the gospel. That is presenting it as a white man's religion. And what I just said about them being able to address social issues, but not us, they're promoting it as such. And that's what a lot of brothers push back on.
Right. Man, that was as Lance says, that was real talk. So I want to do something real quick. Let me see if I can share my screen. Actually, before I do that, just to have some fun with you. Okay, so now, one of the favorite conversations people like to have, whether it's on actual sports channels or in the barbershop, people talk about their dream team, right? It's like, if you can take any player from any era and put them together, what would be your squad? But what I want to do with you now is I want you to show us your starting five from the Bible. Like, from all the characters, and when I say characters, I mean, actual people. I don't mean that, Right. But the people from the Bible. Now, you can't use Jesus and Moses. That's too easy.
I was going to say, is Jesus?
No. No Jesus, no Moses, right? So from Old, New Testament, any part of the Bible, Who would be your starting five from the Bible?
Well, you got to put Paul in there.
Okay.
Unquestionably, got to put Paul in there. Uh, this is a good question. I never thought of it. I
Now
think I
remember, they're facing the world, right? This team has to defend the gospel against the entire planet. So who would be your starting five?
Wow, they got to defend the guy. Okay, I got to put Peter in.
Okay.
I'm thinking post Pentecost, Peter.
Yeah, you don't want pre-Pentecost. He's gonna be hacking and doing a lot of texts.
Right. Because he bowed. He broke like a little girl got him to deny Jesus. You know.
Right. Yeah.
But that's the power of the Holy Spirit. After he received the Holy Spirit, he was
Right.
You know?
Absolutely.
So I got to go with Peter, Paul. Let me look back to the Old Testament. I mean, if we gonna fight, I can't have Moses.
You can't have Moses or Jesus.
Because
we got Jesus. That's it. That is the starting five.
Right. So. That's all we need. I think I'm gonna go with Elijah.
Okay, so it's Elijah, Paul, and Peter, right? So far,
right?
Well, Elijah got that fire, literally, right?
Right. I'm torn about Noah, because I mean, he was obviously a great brother, but he had his stumbles.
That's true.
And
but the Bible does say he was a preacher of righteousness.
What happened in that tent?
Yeah, that was a little suspect right there. Yeah.
Let's see. Give me Abraham.
What about Deborah? What about Deborah? Deborah or Deborah? One of the judges.
Yeah, she was great.
She got busy.
I'm gonna go with Abraham and Joseph.
All right, so Abraham, Joseph.
I know I'm leaving people out. I didn't want to go with David. I love David, but
Yeah, there's some scandals there in his career. There's some scandals in his career. Right. That's what's up.
So yeah, that's my team. But that was a good question, man.
Yeah. I thought that'd be fun. So, listen, guys, we don't have that much time left.
I might have time for one more question because I got somebody coming over in a minute.
So one more question, guys. First one, first come, first serve. Let's go. Come on. Yo, this is fun, man. You went in, Chris.
Yo, anytime you need me, man, let me know. I did enjoy this, man. I did enjoy it.
Listen, man, once this pandemic is over, God willing, and you come to New York, we gotta chop it up, bro.
Oh yeah.
We definitely gotta chop it up. Come on, guys. One more question before he goes. Well, while we wait, what's coming down the pipe for Chris Broussard, sports analyst, and King Movement? Like, what's in the future for you guys?
Well, again, I'm doing my radio show every day, every weeknight. So I ask people to tune into that. The Odd Couple is on Fox Sports Radio. And then I'd say just doing the TV. We're just all waiting to see
right
when we're gonna be back in the studio. But I did the Herd on Friday, Colin Cowherd's radio show. I'm doing First Things First Monday morning. If they want to tune into that, that'll be 8 a.m. Monday morning, talking about The Last Dance. I'm gonna interview Charles Oakley on Monday.
Nice.
On social media platforms about The Last Dance. David Aldridge as well. It's Sunday night after The Last Dance. Immediately after, I'll be on IG Live, Facebook Live. I'll tweet about it, but you can go and I'm gonna give my immediate reactions to episodes 9 and 10. So those are some of the things I'm immediately doing in sports. And then with King, I'm building up the King movement, man.
Right.
And so we're hoping to have our national summit. It's scheduled for March 19th through the 21st at the Christian Cultural Center in Brooklyn next year.
Nice.
When
again?
March 19th through the 21st.
Nice.
we're gonna have like this past summit in Charlotte we canceled because of the pandemic.
Right.
But we were gonna have Damon Richardson.
Would you have speech in that one?
Speech is gonna be there. He'll be in the one in Brooklyn, but he would have been there. Speech from Arrested Development. Jamar Tisby, who wrote about the color of compromise.
Yeah.
Damon Richardson was gonna be there.
Nice.
So we're gonna have, it's gonna be dope, and we obviously want you to be involved with it, brother.
Oh, thank you.
And,
thank you.
And and the King movement, the doors are open if you want to get down.
Nice. I appreciate that, brother. Thank you so much. Yeah.
But that's really what I'm doing.
So let me do my quick shameless plug. May 25th at 8 p.m., guys, I'm going to have one of my favorite scholars, Dr. Michael Heiser, will be in the building, and we're going to be talking about the unseen realm of apologetics. And, of course, we're going to speak about his new book, Demons, and he's one of my favorites. I don't know if you've read any of his work.
Yeah, he's a bad boy. I got a couple of his books. I haven't read The Unseen Realm yet, but I've watched a lot of his videos.
Right. Well, you got to start with that book before you read the other books. You got to start with Unseen Realm. Yeah.
He's incredible, though. It's deep, man.
Super deep.
It's deep.
All right, guys. So I don't see any more questions. So I'm going to let my man go so he can celebrate his daughter's graduation. So,
all right, my man.
Brother, this has been real. Thank you so much. It's been Chris Broussard, BK Apologist, signing off. We're going to catch you on the flip side. Peace.
All right, brother.
Oh.